Hey guys, today I wanted to do a video on how OCD can latch onto our work or our studies, which includes going to university or trying to choose the right courses, stuff like that. But before I go on, please subscribe to the channel, please like this video, please comment on this video, let us know what you think and ask any questions that you have. So, work and studying at university or starting any kind of degree, they have a lot of overlaps in terms of the kinds of fears that we might have and the kind of anxieties that come up and the kind of compulsions that might come up. So I thought I would cover them in the same video because this is something that comes up very often in the support groups, and it's a question that a lot of people have asked. So that's why I wanted to cover it. So the first thing I want to start off with right off the bat is when people try to spend too much time trying to choose the right path, the correct path. And this is something that we can ruminate a lot on, we can do endless research on, we can Google a lot of things about this, we can have endless conversations with people about it, with other professionals in our field, with people in our class. And so, because we think that if we don't choose the right degree, if we don't choose the correct program, if we don't choose the right job, the right salary, the right company, the right position, the job title, all of these things we try to think so much about because we think that any wrong move will derail our entire career. We will be unsuccessful, we will be unhappy, we will not be financially as we won't be financially rewarded very much, and it will just make our entire life miserable. Whereas the more conversations you have with people, the more confused you will get. And obviously, everybody does some research and some discussions about their career paths, the kind of program they should choose or not. But beyond a certain point, it obviously becomes extremely compulsive, and you would know that because you would find yourself with absolutely no relief, constantly chronically anxious and fearful and confused, chronically confused about what to do. And you really want an answer desperately of what's the right thing. And there will be a moment where you think, oh, when I think about this, when I really try to check my feelings about this in my mind, in my imagination, it feels good. And then when you choose that thing or when you try to go towards that thing, suddenly OCD is like, but what about that other program, or what about that other job or company that you might like? So what about that? And then immediately we think that, oh, we're making the wrong choice, and we immediately step back and we end up where we started from, which is making no decision at all. And so that's where that compulsion needs to be needs to be stopped, of constantly trying to research, constantly trying to look for answers, and just go for something. I mean, start doing something. And if you're trying to check your feelings constantly about how you feel about it, nothing will feel good or nothing will feel like it's your passion, because OCD will always make you doubt it. And a great perspective to have on that is people who change their entire degrees in the middle of doing it, or people who change their entire occupation and profession in the while when they have succeeded so much at their previous profession. So there are people who might be like an accountant, for example, and they might switch to just being like a filmmaker or something like that. They might completely change those things. And so and so those are good perspectives to have, because even if a few years later you realize you were making the wrong decision or you ended up in the wrong degree or program or whatever, you could always switch gears and do something else, and if you wanted to. But in that moment, it will always feel like it's the worst decision and your entire life depends on it, so you need to make the right decision. So that's one thing that troubles people in terms of their academics or their professional goals and their career goals. And it becomes like a do or die situation, essentially. Like, if I don't do this, then, like, everything is completely ruined. Then the other aspect that comes in is also, I have my notes on my whiteboard over here. The other thing that comes in is like putting off your work or your job or your studies for a better time. Like for when you, because you think that, oh, I will I will only do this when I feel ready, when I feel less anxious, when I don't feel as triggered all the time, when I don't have these intrusive thoughts, blah blah blah. And so this is what will happen. Even if you ended up feeling a little better, the moment that you actually take the step to start your degree or a new job, OCD will come in, because usually OCD comes in a bit more and bothers us a bit more usually when we are starting something new in life, or when there's a change, significant change happening in our life. So that goes for like doing a university program, or a new job, or getting married, having a new relationship, moving into a new house, buying a new car, having children. Like these are, or a death of a loved one, these are all like big life changes, and OCD tends to come in at that point. So if you're putting off your work and your studies, OCD might disappear for a while, but then it'll be the moment you're about to start, it'll be like, hey, I'm back, and it'll make you fearful again, and it will make you doubt your decision again. So there never is like the right time or a good time necessarily to start it. I would just say go for it. I completed my college, 4 years of college, with 100%, not I would say 100%, 1000% chronic anxiety all the time. And at the time, I didn't even know what was happening. So it was even a bigger confusing time for me that way. But I did not give myself the option to escape or to not complete important things in life. And obviously, university degrees and stuff like those things are important for you to like carry on in life. So it, in retrospect, I now realize it was an excellent exercise in taking discomfort for the ride, quite literally, wearing anxiety like an uncomfortable coat, quite literally, in a way, and still doing important things. So even if OCD is trying to make you think that, oh, you need to postpone your time of starting like a new program or a new job or a career or something like that, don't let it make you think that. I would say absolutely still go for it, because you have to balance living your life as well as um, working on recovery side by side. And the reasons why you want to put it off can be multiple. So it can be, oh, I don't want to panic in front of people. I don't want to panic like in front of a classroom, and what will they think of me? I don't want to panic in front of my colleagues or my boss. What will they think of me? They will fire me, or they will expel me from the program, or they might tell me to take some time off, and that would be so embarrassing. So it's usually that, or it's a fear of failing, because oh my god, I will have so many intrusive thoughts and panic and anxiety that I will not be able to function, I will completely fail, and that would be such a like bad thing for my record. What else could there be? I mean, these are the two main fears that people have when they're trying to put things off. The third thing is that I actually wanted to talk about as well was avoiding feeling stressed, or just hating the feeling of feeling stressed. Wait, let me put this in fully. Um, so a lot of people might put off a new program or a new job or career, something like that, because they think that it'll be too much. They won't be able to handle the pressure. They will be overwhelmed with so much work. And you might think that, oh, I'm already like I already have so many intrusive thoughts, and I have so much anxiety all day long, so many fears. Why would I want to pile on to my burdens? But like what really happens is that, I mean, our brain is telling us that, oh, it'll be too much. But what actually happens is that even if you have anxiety or OCD, and there are too many fears and mental compulsions and intrusive thoughts coming to you, when you are still working on something that you want to in your life, somehow you are able to make space for it in your life. And I feel like when you go at it with the intention of that, okay, I am going to balance both things side by side, I'm not going to let one thing stop me from the other, your brain automatically is ready to make those adjustments and ready to adapt to that new situation or that new thing that's coming into your life. So And that fear of feeling stressed out and fear of it being too much is essentially fear of fear. That I will be stuck in fear for the rest of my life. It will be so bad and debilitating that my brain will shut down. I will faint in front of people. I will fall to the ground. I might stay stuck in that state of trigger for the rest of my life. My nerves won't be able to handle it, and they will be damaged to the point of no recovery then. And these are all the thoughts that come to our head when we think that, oh, we don't want to be stressed, we don't want to be burnt out. I think that's also a key word, especially in this day and age. Burnout is something that's talked about a lot, and it's a significant cultural conversation that I think needs to be had in with regards to working culture that we have, but that's a completely separate topic. But so there is that fear that people have. What if I also get burnt out? What if I become the what if what I read happens to me that way? And so we avoid people also avoid taking like a full-time job or a full-time program. They might say that, oh, I want to just do a part-time thing because it'll be manageable enough. I won't be overwhelmed. I will be able to still have me time and time for just chilling in bed as well, and all of that stuff while I continue to do that. So I mean, still go for it. I would still encourage you to go for it. As tempting as taking time off is, indulging yourself in something constructive in your life and having that kind of life structure around it is something that can actually be extremely beneficial for you. Then the other problem that often people have is, I touched on this a little earlier, but just to talk about it separately, is the fear of being judged by your colleagues or your classmates. And that can come in many shapes and sizes. So if you have an important presentation coming up, you might think, oh my God, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to look like a fool in front of my boss. I don't want to fail in front of this like people coming from another company or something like that, or higher ups coming in. Or I don't want to sound stupid in front of my classmates. All of those things stop us from really like indulging ourselves in our work and trying to take up more responsibility or trying to take up more challenging roles. So we always try to stay in the background, or we try not to um, like we try not to be in the spotlight because we think that we will massively fail and it will be such a display of public embarrassment, and we will never be able to live it down. So and that fear then also manifests in, for example, and I used to experience this myself in the classroom. I often did not ask questions in the classroom because I thought I would sound completely stupid if I ask this question. What if this is a very basic thing and I'm asking it and it'll just not look great for me? Um, I also used to do it, in fact, in social settings with my friends as well. If there was something that I did not know about, I would not say I didn't know about it. Or if I was wrong about something, I would not like to admit that I was wrong. I would pretend as if I already knew that thing. I would pretend like, oh, I was already right about it and stuff like that. And so, or even in front of my colleagues, if there was a task I hadn't completed in time, or if there was a task that I was struggling at, I often struggle to bring it up with my colleagues or with someone who was like managing that work with me, because I did not want to seem incompetent or someone who wasn't able to handle the workload or anything of that sort. And so I found that even more burdensome compared to when I actually did start asking questions, or when I did start admitting that I wasn't able to do this. I um I wasn't able to do this. I don't know about this. I was wrong about this. It felt I mean, to my surprise, it felt way more liberating than trying to pretend to be something that I really wasn't. And I think doing those exercises, even though they made me anxious initially, after that they just became a habit. And they just became second nature, and I became okay with owning my mistakes or owning my shortcomings or owning my lack of knowledge or intelligence or any of those things. Like, how else will I learn? Like, how else do I I mean, that's what I thought to myself. I was like, how else do I expect to learn and grow unless I don't ask questions? Like, isn't that the entire point of learning as a human being? Isn't that what we have done in school all this time? I mean, isn't that the point of the school system for that matter? To ask questions and learn from those. Isn't that the point of having like an organizational work structure for employees to like be able to make mistakes but learn from them, and to learn from their colleagues, learn from their bosses, learn from their managers and stuff? I mean, like, and so breaking that down of why it would be so terrible to seem stupid, why it would be, is it really like the worst thing or the most terrible and the most debilitating thing to seem stupid, or to seem like you don't have enough knowledge, or to seem like you don't have the perfect skill set or any of those things? So really think about that. So breaking that down is really, really important. Then procrastination is also something that people really struggle with when it comes to academics or their jobs. And this is something that I was like a massive procrastinator. And I think it took me a long time. I personally, in fact, don't still think I function. I think I can still do better as a person. I have made a lot of improvement, but I think I can still be better, because for so many years I was chronically just procrastinating. Why? Because I had massive fear of fear. I had massive. I had massive fear of feeling stressed, fear of feeling burnt out, fear of being overwhelmed, and so I thought that, and I would put tasks off. I would like delay them. I would postpone them, not do them. I would like just avoid work and studying and stuff like that. And why was that? Because for some reason I thought that exerting my brain in that task would be one of the absolutely worst and chronically exhausting things ever. And I did not want to experience that. I thought it was such an extremely undesirable state of mind to be in, to be working to complete a task, because oh my god, I would have to think so much. And my brain is already tired from anxiety and from intrusive thoughts and being overwhelmed, that why do I why would I even want to put myself through the process of studying or completing an assignment or writing an essay or any of those things? Isn't it better to just lie back in my bed and just like play a game on my phone, or text with people, or scroll through Instagram, or watch YouTube videos? That's more enjoyable than, doing a task or completing things at work. Or like, I used to do a lot of content creation at work. So it was like, oh, I mean, who wants to do that? And so, but procrastinating, and I know people who procrastinate, it feels like it's the answer to things. It feels like it is the right thing to do to put off your task, but procrastinating actually makes anxiety worse, and it makes you feel worse about yourself as well. Because part of why you're also procrastinating is also often comes from a fear, not just from fear and fear of feeling overwhelmed and fear of having uncomfortable sensations, but it also massively comes from a fear of failing, a fear of making mistakes, a fear of not being able to successfully complete the task, or not doing it sufficiently enough, um, or not doing it efficiently enough. Those are two different things. So because of those fears, we just don't do anything, because there is that part of our brain which is like, oh, but what if I try my hand at this task and I fail? Then I will prove all my fears to myself, essentially. And then I will feel bad about myself. I will feel completely shit about myself. So might as well just not do it at all. So procrastination really just makes you feel worse. And so aside from recognizing what your fear is, breaking that down and seeing that it won't be as terrible as it is, the other thing that is necessary for this, I mean, the only other advice that I would have for you for this is to just do it. And I know that's easier said than done, because when you're procrastinating, sitting back in bed, just scrolling through your phone and stuff like that, or watching Netflix, which a lot of us have done while suffering. What Because it becomes such a comfortable position, it feels like when you actually have to do a task, it feels like you have to drag like 200 kilos of bricks on your back. That's how it feels like. It feels like you have to, like, there's so much weight that you have to carry. And trust me, it was not easy to get myself out of bed and finally starting to do tasks that I needed to do. Because, and my body got so used to non movement in my life that even the slightest movement made me tired very quickly. It made my brain exhausted very quickly, because when your body isn't even moving, when your body is years on years, it's not exerting itself. When you slightly exert yourself, obviously it'll tire itself out very quickly because it's not used to it. But you have to build that distress tolerance, you have to build that frustration tolerance in yourself to be able to see yourself through a task, to be able to complete it, to at least try your hand at it. The first time you might be able to work just half an hour, and then you might be like, okay, I can't do anymore. Try to push yourself more, but sure. The next time, try 45 minutes. Try sitting down for 45 minutes and to complete a task or to work on a task, even if you don't complete it. Then try an hour. Like, keep increasing the time that you spend working on one specific task, and it's okay to fail at it. It's okay to make a lot of errors and mistakes. There's no other way that you will be able to learn how to do it better or how to change that. And so for me, the only thing eventually was even something like adding cycling to my everyday routine really helped me, because it added some form of movement in my life. And when I was adding movement to my life, my body started to get used to, in some ways, exerting itself. And so then doing a task like some school assignment or something did not feel as heavy and as tiresome and as just as debilitating as I used to make it out to be, because my body was like, okay, exerting yourself isn't really as bad. And when you develop a certain kind of bodily momentum, you're able to put yourself to a task much more easily as well. So essentially, what really does happen with procrastination is to just do it, to just start doing things. Because if you don't really take the first step in doing things, you will keep procrastinating more and more and more and more. Um, then the other thing that also happens is that with work environments, or with even like your school environment, your classroom environment, your university environment, those themselves can be a trigger environment as well. So a person over there might be triggering you, your boss might be triggering you in a certain way, the conversations might be triggering the kinds of your work nature, or your the subjects that you're taking in school, the nature of the subject might be a trigger topic for you. It might coincide with your theme. So, for example, like, although I'm just wondering if I've ever spoken to a doctor with health OCD, but I mean, just an example. If there's a doctor and they have health OCD in class, talking about like diseases and illnesses will trigger them in a way. So something similar, like if you're taking such a course or something that relates to your theme directly, then it might end up triggering you in a sense. So, and what that then does is that we either think of, okay, I need to switch my job, or I need to switch my career, I need to switch my degree, I need to switch my subject, we basically go into avoidance mode. In fact, that does become a great opportunity for exposure, because because when you recognize that this is a trigger and you're still going for it, you are giving yourself that chance to overcome that fear, to be able to break it down a bit more. And you don't go into avoidance mode, because if you go into avoidance mode and if you completely change your degree, your job, or whatever, your fear will come up in some other shape or size or form, in a new environment. That's what OCD does. It adapts and it morphs and it changes, and it follows us. Unless and until we actually work on it, then it just keeps following us wherever we go. It doesn't leave us. So 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 don't switch gears that way. Use that environment as a good opportunity to work on acceptance as well. I mean, I'm not saying that, for example, if you have a work environment where it's just not the best work environment, it's extremely competitive and people are trying to bring you down, stuff like that. That does happen in some work environments. Not saying it doesn't. However, as while you're still working over there, don't jump to immediately be like, okay, this is happening, I want to jump ship. Because when we give that kind of immediate reaction to our emotions and OCD, it automatically translates into avoidance. Um, Still take time out to work on unconditional acceptance, unconditionally accepting others, unconditionally accepting yourself, whatever your triggers might be in that environment, unconditionally accepting for how life, your career has turned out to be. And look, even if you do realize that, oh, I just did an avoidance mechanism by quitting my previous job and starting a new one, that still gives you just that awareness is a good step in recognizing where you have the tendency to do some avoidance compulsions. um, and you can look at, okay, I was in that work environment, this is what was happening, so where was I putting my musts and shoulds and demands on myself, on other people, and perhaps my life at large? What are the rigid beliefs that I was holding? What are the irrational beliefs that they were? What kind of black and white thinking I was doing? How can I work on breaking that down? How can I change my perspective on that to not for that to not affect me this chronically and this intensely? So that provides like a great opportunity. Then the other thing that happens of sometimes as well is that because we want to study, because we want to complete a degree, because we want to start a new job or a new career or whatever it is, we delay working on recovery because we think that, oh, but if I work on recovery and if I start to, like, face my thoughts or face my fears and or do exposures, then I won't be able to, focus or even do anything with my job or in class or with my exams. So I need to put things off. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to I don't want to work on recovery. I don't want to like even look at it. So let's just put it off. Once I complete my degree, once I am 1 year into my job and I'm comfortable in it, only then I'll start doing these exposures and trying to dispute my irrational beliefs, because right now it's too triggering and I cannot afford a trigger. At any point in life, there will be something that OCD will use as an excuse for you to not work on recovery. There will always be something important. Even when you're like 1 year into your job, there will be a promotion and you will be like, oh, but my boss expects so much from me and there's so much responsibility on my shoulders now after 1 year. So you know what, I can't do exposures. Or you will be like, oh, but, or with studying, it'll be like, oh, but now I'm about to start my specialization, or right now I'm now working on my master's, or I'm doing my internship, or my exams are coming up, or my second term is starting. Like, there will always be a reason for to not work on recovery. You have to focus on the one reason to work on recovery, which is long term great life. Focus on that and carry on and like prioritize recovery. Delaying recovery to study or to do a job, or delaying your job or your studies to work on recovery, both of these are extreme actions. You have to be able to make space for both simultaneously, work on both of them, and carry life balancing both of them. Focusing on just one and not the other is not a helpful life structure for you either way, because what you are essentially, the framework and the standard that you are setting for your brain is that my brain can only handle one thing at a time, and I can only work on recovery. So, and that's conditional acceptance as well. I can only work on recovery if I'm not doing these important things, or I can only do these important things if I'm not working on recovery. So, what your brain actually needs is a more realistic balance, to be shown that there is a realistic balance of both recovery and living life side by side. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on for this was that these things can also translate into like a sub theme in a way, which is sleep related OCD. That I need my full sleep to be able to do my exam tomorrow. I need like perfect complete sleep to be able to function at my job and complete my work and my tasks. What if I don't get enough sleep and start to get anxious and faint in front of my colleagues? What if I fall asleep at work? What if I'm not able to concentrate on this big presentation or this like big task that's coming up? What if I'm not able to work on my thesis if I don't get enough sleep throughout my term? So, but that's something I won't like get into because that's like a separate, completely separate video in itself. But I just wanted to touch on that with working and with studying, sleep related fears often do come in because we think we need optimal functioning to be able to succeed. But I mean, if you get great sleep, that's fine. But if you're not able to, if you try to force it, it won't come to you. And it'll make you even more anxious about it. Trust me, I had the worst sleep schedule with not just work, but also when I was in college and university. So it just, it really didn't matter. Honestly, it really, I mean, sure, my concentration levels may have not been the best, but I think I've like graduated with pretty great marks in CGPA still. So, and that's not a flex. I'm just genuinely saying that it still worked out. So you don't absolutely need it to succeed in life. You can still succeed in life even if you don't get the perfect amount of sleep. But we have sleep related videos on this channel. You can go in the playlist section and check those out separately. I think at some point we might be doing a webinar on sleep related issues as well. So come to that if you can. Like keep a lookout for our updated webinar schedule that we keep posting on our Instagram stories. We also post it in the WhatsApp groups if you're on there. We also share it in the Facebook group if you are on there. So yeah, and if you want an updated list for webinars, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com, and Phil, not FILLPHIL, phil@ocdrecovery.com. Email him and he can send you the updated flyers for the webinars. So, and sign up if you want to. Or if you're interested. They're really fun. We talk to a lot of people on there. We answer a lot of questions. We are able to joke a lot with each other as well. I mean, humor does really help lighten the mood with that. So, yeah, that's all. I decided to bring my little plant in this video as well today. I think I should name it. I mean, I just realized it during this video, so I'll think of a good name. If you have any suggestions for this plant as well, what I could name it, let me know and I'll name that. And I'll see you for another video very soon. Bye bye. Take care.